Thanks. I'm Larry Hinzman. I'm from the University of Alaska. I'm the vice chair of Seong and the vice president of IASC. So I'm really tied up in vice. So I'm going to start with the statement from the joint statement from the last week's White House Arctic Science Ministerial, in that many of the groups that were participating, many of the countries, many of the delegates that were participating from around the world really focused on the importance of observations, the need for maintaining sustained long-term observations, the need for archiving them and developing an open system for distribution and use and sharing. And one of the statements that they said is that in this context, we see a critical role for the Sustained Arctic Observing Networks, SEON initiative, a joint responsibility of the Arctic Council and the International Arctic Science Committee, and encourage continued cooperation in other international science organizations that contribute to Arctic observing and data sharing and building a network of community-based observations. So there's no organization in the world that has said we have too much data, we don't need to share the data. Everybody is calling for this, and we really need to work together to try and make those data available. The data from our research is the legacy. It gets interpreted, it gets published, but we can utilize that over and over and over again and really achieve a lot more benefits if we make that data available and share it across the nation, across the world. So SEON is focused on opening up these data sets, to developing a way to get access to these data, really focused on free, open access to high quality data that across the Pan-Arctic that provide global values and societal benefits. So the primary progress through SEON has been accomplished through two important committees. One is the Committee on Observations and Networks. This is led by Lisa Licetto from Canada, and they're focused really on developing an inventory of the data that have existed, the data available, and the inventory and of the monitoring that's ongoing right now, and trying to develop interconnections amongst these various data networks. The other committee is the Arctic Data Committee, led by Peter Pulsifer from the National Snow and Ice Data Center. And this group has actually been involved in hosting or co-hosting the two polar data forums. And they've really made great progress in defining the Arctic data ecosystem that Paul was referring to previously. But they've also really worked hard on trying to identify common metadata elements so that it is possible for us to search for these data and to find them and make them available broadly. So the Seong Boards is really defined by all the 8 Arctic Council nations and several indigenous organizations, including the Aleut International, the Inuit Circumpolar Conference, and the Sami Council. We have we include many of the Arctic Council working groups and many non-Arctic countries, including China, Germany, Italy, Japan, Korea, Poland, Spain, and the UK. But we also have many of the prominent organizations that are involved in data collecting, data archiving, and distribution, including the European Commission and, of course, GEO. And GEO actually has defined SEON as the Arctic extension of GEO, which really works well for both of us. And it provides a certain mechanism where we can work together, but we're not duplicating efforts or being redundant to each other. I want to talk a little bit about AMAP. So SEON is a child of AMAP, but AMAP was created by the Arctic Council. There's an AMAP expert in the audience. Helge Jensen is here someplace, and Helge can provide more information about AMAP to those who care. But the important thing about AMAP is that much of the discussion we've had so far this weekend has been focused on climate change, but there's many more things that are ongoing in the Arctic and that we need to consider about too. Many of these other processes are driving change too. They include contaminants, oil industry, oil development, distribution, human health, the cryosphere, snow, ice, and permafrost, climate dynamics, ocean acidification, the short-lived climate factors such as black carbon, and then adaptations according to all these different processes. And all of these efforts, all of them depend upon continuous observations, long-term sustained monitoring. And so it's important that we establish these connections between these various groups. So with that, I'll thank you.